Hello, my name is Kamara, Sitton, Recreation Specialist at Betty Ray Thomas Recreation Center. Thank you for participating in our virtual programming. If you haven't done so, please subscribe to our Mecklenburg County YouTube channel. Follow us on other social media sites at Meg Park Rec for more updates and new programming. We would also like to welcome you to the cafe at Betty Ray. Hi everyone, welcome to the cafe at Betty Ray. Today we will be creating our own pigs in the blanket. So for starters, to get started, you'll need to make sure you wash your hands, safety first. We already have done so, and the materials that you'll be using today to create this masterpiece will be Pillsbury crescent rolls and hot dogs. You'll also need a knife and as well as some tongs. And we'll be using an air fryer today to make our pigs in the blanket. However, if you don't have an air fryer, you can use a stove as well. What you'll do is, instead of putting them in the air fryer, you will put your pigs in the blanket on a cooking sheet and bake them for about 7 to 10 minutes. So for starters, we would open up our can of crescent rolls and pop them open and spread the dough out onto the table into the triangles that they already come in. They're already pre-cut, but you may want to use your knife to go back over them and just cut around the appropriated lines already. Next, what you want to do is cut your triangles into smaller triangles to put your hot dogs on. To do so, you want to make sure you have an adult help you. And you just want to make smaller triangles to roll your hot dogs on. So as I cut the hot dogs, you want to make sure that you cut them kind of the same way as you cut the dough into angled slits. And you want them to be about 1 inch a piece. So you have a pretty good size hot dog here. Then you want to take your strips of dough and put the hot dog on the ends, and you want to roll your hot dog to where it's perfectly wrapped in bread. If you are using a stove, I suggest that you go ahead and preheat your oven to about 350 before you start rolling your hot dogs into the crescent rolls, just so that your oven is warm enough and ready to go. So if you have an oven, you want to make sure that you layer your hot dogs onto a cookie sheet. You want to make sure that the hot dogs are not touching each other, just so the fact that the dough will actually spread and they'll get stuck together. So you want to make sure that you keep them spaced apart to where there's nowhere touching each other. You also, if you have a cookie sheet, you may want to spray it with some like Pam, or either just put a little bit of butter on it at the bottom just so it doesn't stick. You can do that for the air fryer as well, but pretty much they tend not to stick to the bottom. So in the air fryer, we are going to load them in. And we want to be sure that the same rules apply, that they're not sticking or touching one another. And we want to make sure our air fryer is at the temperature of 350 degrees. And we're going to set them in for about 4 minutes. But at the 2-minute mark, we're going to stop and we're going to flip them over so they are brown on both sides. So now our 2 minutes is up, and so what we want to do is we want to just rotate our hot dogs over, and that's where our tongs come in at, because they are extremely hot. And you just want to make sure that you flip. So once your hot dogs are flipped, you still want to make sure that they're spaced out so they don't get stuck together. That's one step done. And we shall sit them back in the air fryer or the oven for another 2 minutes to check. Now in the oven, Just to let you know, it will take longer to cook. It will be longer than 2 minutes. So you may want to do 5 minutes on one side in the oven and then pull them out and then do another 5 minutes. Our 2 minutes are now up, and so we're removing our hot dogs from the tray. And we now have our pigs and our blankets. You want to make sure that you are using a tongue or something to pick them up with because it's extremely hot. Also, if you're using an air fryer, make sure once you pull all of the pigs in the blanket out, you don't sit the canister on anything due to the fact it's still hot. It will melt any surface or you will burn yourself. You can just slide it back in, and now your pigs in blanket are ready to serve.